all the Filipino nurses who would want to come here through the International Study Permit Program. Niagara has three programs that would be able to help you out with regards to your getting your license here in Canada. You can definitely reach out to Divine directly, or you can also reach out to me. I'm partners with them, so we can help you secure an LOA with Niagara College. Do you think it would be more to their advantage to go through the bridging program or to take a postgrad?
Hello, sunshine, good to see you again. Had to walk out to let you back in. Stuck in a storm of a relationship. Lost my...
So hello everyone. Ayan, I am Divine Lacuna. I'm the regional representative of Niagara College, Canada here in the Philippines. And today, I'll be going to discuss our Niagara College nursing programs and how to become a Canadian nurse. So just to take note, itong i-discuss ko is from the from NNAS. So all of this one you could visit from the website. It's nnas.ca, and this could be changed anytime soon. But this one is the latest from the website itself. Now, what are the programs of Niagara College Canada for you as a licensed nurse? So please take note that this one could be an advantage for those who are licensed nurse. But if you're not a licensed nurse and would still want to be to study in Canada, pwede pa rin naman kayong kumuha. I'm not discouraging all people na, oh, okay, hindi ako licensed nurse. You could still study this one. So these programs are now recognized by CNO, or College of Nurses Ontario. Recently, the CNO changed its process, and the three programs were recognized by the college, by College of Nurses Ontario, to become your programs, maging on top siya or maging additional credentials ninyo sa inyong bachelor's degree from the Philippines. The first one is the Community Mental Health. So Community Mental Health is a one-year postgraduate programs that could be applied at Niagara College. The next one is the Gerontology. Gerontology is a one-year postgraduate program that is focusing for individuals who are with yung aging, focuses on patients that are aging. This one, please take note, this is a high demand and a high competitive program. So if you want to take this program, please apply early. And our palliative care. So palliative care is also a one-year postgraduate program that would be all eligible for you to apply for the licensure exam. Yan yung mga three programs namin. So we have community mental health, gerontology, and palliative care. Okay, what are your career opportunities and pathway if you're going to apply under this program? And I also got hourly average salary from payscale.com for RN, RPN, and PSW, or Registered Practical Nurse, Personal Support Worker, and Registered Nurse. All of these programs, you're eligible for senior residents, long-term care facilities, hospitals, organizations, or private practice, pwede din siya. Then this, as an RN, registered practical nurse and PSW, may mga magkakaiba yung salary nila, pero almost the same yung kanilang function. What I'm going to discuss is how to become a nurse in Canada. What is the licensure procedure and what are the documents you need to prepare? First is, Canada has 10 provinces and 3 territories. So each province and territory, may kanya-kanya silang organization to become a nurse. So for Ontario, which Niagara College is located, it is the Colleges of Nurses Ontario, or CNO. And what are the terminologies that you need to know? So first is, ano nga ba yung kaibahan ng postgraduate program sa practical nursing? So both are beneficial for the students. However, yung postgraduate program, this is a degree na higher sa bachelor's degree. So if you're not a bachelor's degree holder in the Philippines, hindi ka pwedeng mag-apply sa postgraduate program. So ito yung meron si Niagara College. Practical nursing is comparable to our bachelor's degree in nursing, but it's a diploma program. So it's a 2-year diploma program. in Canada. The next one is, ito, frequently asked question to, ano nga ba ang postgraduate or bridging program? So yung postgraduate program, as I mentioned, is a higher degree for your bachelor's degree in the Philippines. And also, but it's not yet a master's. But the bridging program is comparable to a nursing review in the Philippines. So, ito yung kaibahan ng postgraduate and bridging program. So, huwag tayong malilito. Kung yung bridging ba ay postgraduate, magkaparehas, it's a two different terminology and two different programs. Next is a registered nurse, licensed practical nurse, and personal support worker is magkakaiba din yung sa Canada. It could be possible na makikita ninyo na magkakasama sila, magkakamukha sila ng uniform, pero yung kanilang functions is magkakaiba. So, ano ba muna ang ating registered nurse? So, registered nurse or RN, in the Philippines, comparable siya sa ating admin nurse. So, siya yung sa mga administrative, siya yung sa decision maker, pero gumagawa pa rin siya ng function as a nurse. Licensed practical nurse is siya yung comparable to a staff nurse sa Philippines. So, nanghihingi pa rin siya ng permission kay RN, nag-assist pa rin siya, katulad ng ginagawa ni RN, pero yun nga, yung administrative side, hindi niya ginagawa. Last is our personal support worker, which is very popular for the students from the Philippines, the licensed nurse, when they come to Canada. This is their first jobs in long-term care or residence. This one is they help the licensed nurse to assist the patients and the residents sa Canada. So, ito yung personal support worker. Now, how to apply or to become a nurse in Canada? First is the eligibility. So, kailangan i-check ninyo ano ba yung eligibility ninyo. And also, check naman lahat ng mga nurses natin dito kasi because you already graduate from a university or college outside of Canada. You have never been a nurse or worked in Canada. The third one is you want to become a registered nurse, licensed practical nurse, or registered psychiatric nurse in Canada. So, itong tatlo na to, ito lang yung eligibility na kailangan ninyong i-suffice. So, para ma-self-check ninyo kung eligible ba kayo. NNAS. So, yeah, now, lagi niyong maririnig yung NNAS. So, ano ba yung NNAS? So, it is the National Nursing Assessment Services. So, dito sa NNAS, sila yung mag-a-assess sa mga documents ninyo. Sa inyo, dun nyo sa kanila ipapasa yung documents ninyo at sila yung magpapasa on behalf of you sa mga colleges of nurses organization. So, katulad nga sa Ontario, Colleges of Nurses Ontario, si CNO, sila yung magpapasa on your behalf. And sila din yung magtatago. Ibig sabihin ng magtatago, kung kulang pa kayo ng documents, naka-safe keep yan sa kanila for 1 year habang kinocomplete nyo pa. So, ganun yung ginagawa ni NNAS. So, how to apply? Ano ba yung mga requirements na kailangan ninyo? First is yung licensure ninyo from the Philippines. So, if you have anyone watching this one and newly grad, so I really encourage you to take your licensure exam from the Philippines and nakapasa na kayo kapag nag-apply na kayo going to Canada because this is really essential. Next is identity document. So, ito yung mga regular na birth certificate, passport, yan yung mga kailangan ninyo. School documents, makukuha nyo siya from your university. Employment history is lahat sana ng inyong mga safe practice and mga employment history. Lahat ipasa ninyo for the last 2 years. Ayan. And proof of English proficiency. So this is IELTS, TOEFL, or IELTS and TOEFL para sa atin. Kasi they are also, if you're, if marunong kayo mag-French, pero sa atin as a Filipino, mahirap yung French. So yan, IELTS and TOEFL.
Question, Divine, with regards to the employment history, does it have to be like, for example, for the employment letter, does it have to be in a Canadian format whenever you're going to be submitting an employment history?
No, ano siya, meron silang form. Kaya lang, ang problema dun sa form, wala akong copy dahil hindi ako binigyan ng student ko. So, ang pinakita niya lang sa akin is, medyo kasi confidential yun eh. Ang pinakita niya sa akin, yung credit, inalaw niya ako na picturean yung kanyang credit, kung paano in-assess ng NNAS. So, yung lahat ng hinahanap nila, pinakita niya sa akin. Kaya lang siyempre confidential yun.
Oo.
So, pero yun, dun,
So
para daw,
there's a form.
may
Okay.
form, tapos parang chine-check siya ng NNAS, okay, tama to, okay, ito, pasok siya, ganon. May ganon sila.
How
Tapos, mm.
sorry, how would they know the credibility or yung alam mo yun, yung clinically mo na work experience mo if it is something that is real? Like how are they gonna check that?
Bawal si student ang mag-submit. So, yun yung naging problema. Kaya 'di ba kaya sinasabing matagal. Kasi makikiusap uy, pwede bang padalan mo naman 'to, gano'n. Gano'n. Kaya sinasabi nilang mahirap. Kasi
So
sa
the
school,
Mhm.
lahat kailangan mong ipautos. Hindi ikaw ang puwedeng magpadala. Yun ang
Ah,
problema.
so wait, for example, for the employment history, yung form from NNAS would be submitted by NNAS to the directly to the employer?
Hindi, ikaw si applicant ipapadala nila kay work. Si work
Oh.
isi-seal nila yun, sila magpapadala kay NNAS, hindi niya puwedeng ipadala sa'yo. Hindi puwedeng
Ah.
yun, kaya siya sinasabing matagal, kaya siya sinasabing mahirap.
Mm.
Kasi kunyari dito sa Philippines kamag-anak mo papupuntahin mo sa ospital kung saan ka dati, hindi
Mm.
naman siyempre ang ospital ang dami ding ginagawa.
Oo, totoo.
So, kunyari si head nurse, kung ka-close mo si head nurse, swerte mo. Paano kung hindi ka masyadong ka-close kay head nurse? So,
Mm.
sinong mag-aano nun, sinong
Totoo.
magva-vouch para sa'yo? Yun.
Mm. Hmm.
And yung next natin is yung step-by-step process. So, first step is create your online NNAS na account. So, syempre, kailangan natin siyang i-create and you're going to pay via MasterCard or Visa through your credit card. So, once you have created your account and pay the fees, dito na magi-start yung 12 months na kailangan mong i-complete yung inyong licensure exam. If you want just to create your account, it's okay as long as you're not paying the fees kasi lalakad na yung 12 months na kailangan mong i-complete yung iyong mga documents. The second one is submit all the proof of identity na kailangan mo kay NNAS. So, kailangan siyang signed, stamped if it's photocopy, and notarized. So, ito yung kailangan mong next step. The third one is the nursing education form. So, NNAS will going to give you the form and it must be completed by your school, by your college or university and sealed and sent directly to NNAS. So please take note that NNAS will only recognize those sealed documents from your school directly. The fourth one is the nursing registration form. So for the Philippines, syempre, punta kayo sa PRC. Ayan, so kailangan si PRC mismo ang mag-sign, same with the katulad din sa school, and send directly to NNAS. And please take note that it should be sent directly from PRC going to NNAS. Hindi siya pwede na kayo yung magsasubmit. The fifth one is the nursing practice or the employment form. This would also be completed by your employer before and sent directly to NNAS. O ito, medyo strict sila. So the next one is, yung step 6 natin is submit your language testing results. So pwede siyang IELTS, TOEFL, or TEF. So yung TEF, yun yung French. But since mahirap sa atin as Filipinos mag-TEF, IELTS, TOEFL, academic side. Ngayon, what if katulad ni Niagara, we are not requiring English for Filipinos, what you could do? So, pwede kayong magpasa ng safe practice that within the last 2 years, provided na main language used was English or French. So, ito yung pwede niyong gawin if you don't want to take IELTS. So, pwede naman kayong hindi mag-take ng IELTS. Okay, this is now next is the report review. So, kapag naipasa nyo na lahat yung requirements ninyo, si NNAS is i-assess kayo. For the report review, may tatlong classes. Comparable, somewhat comparable, and not comparable. So, first is if you got comparable or somewhat comparable, diretso kayo agad sa nursing test. So, pinapipili kayo ni NNAS kung gusto nyo ng RN, i-assess kayo sa RN, LPN, or both. Okay? If you got or pinili nyo lang is RN, NCLEX Canada ang kukuhanin ninyo. If you chose na LPN, CPRNE ang kukuhanin ninyo. So, yan yung dalawang test na pwede nyo kuhanin for RN or LPN, Licensed Practical Nurse. If you pass, you going to have your license. So, RN or LPN na kayo. Kapag nag-fail kayo, you're just going to retake the test. Now, kapag not comparable yung nakuha ninyong report review, wag naman kayong masad or wag kayong malungkot kasi dumadami lang naman yung inyong exam. So, ngayon, before you take the NCLEX or CPRNE, you just need to take OSCE. OSCE is the Objective Structured Clinical Examination and the INCAP or the Internationally Educated Nurses Competency Assessment Program. So, ito yung kailangan ninyong kuhanin na exam. If you pass, your application will start. If you fail, you need to take additional classes. Or dito yung pumapasok, yung bridging program na tinatawag natin. So, ito yung magiging report kapag not comparable kayo. Okay, I'm going to share to you our student experience from Niagara College. So, si student, nag-start siyang mag-apply for NNAS from the Philippines. And this is her story. Now, so by June 2016, she graduated from a Philippine university. After this one, during that year, nagkaroon ng nursing licensure exam dito sa Philippines and she passed it by November 2016. Then, hindi siya agad-agad nag-take ng study mag-apply ng visa for Canada after she graduate. She got a hospital work in the Philippines for 6 months. So 6 months siya nagtrabaho. Then by July, nag-decide na siya mag-start ng kanyang student processing. Since si student kasi is may mga friends na rin siya and higher batch from her Philippine University na nag-apply na rin sa Niagara College, nagtanong siya, and mga nurses na rin sila. So, nag-start na rin siya mag-apply for the NNAS from the Philippines. Please take note na meron tayo dito sa Philippines, sa Makati, na pwede kayong mag-exam. Kaya niya ginawa ito. By October, she completed all the documents, paid, and finished the step for NNAS. So kung araw-araw niya ginagawa ito, kaya niya natapos within 2 months. Then then ito is kasabay ito ng process niya ng student permit niya ha. So by December, nakakuha na siya ng go signal from CNO or Colleges of Nurses Ontario na pwede na siya mag-take ng jurisprudence test. So tinake niya rin ang jurisprudence test dito sa Philippines. Then by March 2018, nag-take din siya ng IELTS academic and nag-take din siya ng NCLEX exam, same here in the Philippines. By 2018, ayan, na-pass na niya yung Canadian Nursing Licensure exam, na-approve na din siya ng visa niya, and by August 2018, pumunta na siya sa Canada. So, or sa Niagara College. So, ito yung student experience namin. And pwede nyo talaga, ito yung naging first-hand experience ng student ng Niagara College. Pwede nyo siya talagang i-start sa Philippines or sa Canada. Okay. Yan. So, I hope na natulungan ko kayo kung paano maging nurse and ano mo yung mga programs sa Canada, lalo na sa Niagara College na pwede ninyong kuhanin.
Thank you so much, Divine. That would definitely help out a lot of our fellow our kababayans na nurses sa Philippines. Actually, marami ding nagtatanong from Dubai and from UAE, Saudi. Marami tayong mga nurses doon who would want to come here in Canada and practice their profession. I just have a few questions with regards to the student experience that you shared. So, the student processed her NNAS as well as her study permit at the same time, right? So basically, what happened is that the student already has the license to practice as an RPN here in Canada, pero not the paper itself. So basically, she already passed NNAS. She is already a registered nurse here in Canada, but she still have to get her license, her physical license from Canada.
Yes, kasi yun yung hahanapin syempre, 'di ba? pag mag-a-apply siya sa mga hospitals, sa mga long-term care, sa mga facility, syempre hahanapan sila ng license number, hahanapan din
Yeah.
sila ng license, the physical card. So,
Mm.
yun yung nangyari because meron siyang mga few documents na hinanap, which is first is work. So, kailangan kasi natin ng work permit sa Canada. So, yun yung wala siya nung nakapasa na siya sa exam. The second one is na-miss siya ng konting points sa IELTS niya. So, kaya hindi rin siya na-recognize. Then the third one is police clearance. So, hindi tayo makakakuha ng police clearance kung wala tayong permit like status sa Canada, like working permit, permanent resident, Canadian, or a student. So, hindi tayo nakakakuha ng police clearance. So, yun yung nangyari kung na-missed out niya. Kaya hindi agad-agad na-release yung license niya.
All right. So just to clarify, the student already has a license, but not the actual license. So the student needs to still get into Canada to get that license. And the only way that the student will be able to get that license is number one, be in Canada by having a status. And by status, we mean as a permanent resident, getting an employer, or being a student. Well,
That's
getting an employer would take a long time. Coming here as PR would also take a long time. The only fastest way that the student can get into Canada is, of course, by being a student, right? And
That's correct.
one cannot get a police clearance by getting a tourist visa because nag-i-issue lang naman ng Canada ng police clearance, or you will only need the police clearance if you're gonna stay in Canada for more than 6 months, right? So, but you cannot do that if you're on a tourist visa because by then
Tama.
expired na ang yung authorized stay sa Canada. So, I think that explains it. But so akala ko the application for NNAS, and the only way that you can take the exam is that if you submit your IELTS. So how come this student was able to take the test and yet was not able to meet the eligibility requirement for the academic IELTS? Like the student missed a 0.5, right, for one of the category. So how was that
Yes.
student able to take the NNAS test? I mean the NCLEX.
Pinayagan siya. So, dahil nga yung exam is meron dito sa Philippines. So, nag-iisa lang siya dito sa Philippines, sa Makati. So, pinayagan siya mag-take nung NCLEX Canada.
Kasi nag-iisa lang siyang Pilipino nag-take ng NCLEX for Canada.
For Canada. So, hindi kasi siya sikat dito.
Usually
Apparently,
US.
Usually taga US. And alam ko, yung same company na yun din na nagpapatake ng US na NCLEX dito.
All right, quick question. So it's a different NCLEX for Canada and a different NCLEX for US. So what I want to ask is, kunwari yung mga nurses natin napasado na for NCLEX pero sa US, and they want to go to Canada instead, they would still have to take another exam. They would still have to go through assessment ng NNAS, exam for NCLEX Canada.
Assessment, definitely yes. Nagdadaan pa rin sila. Pero yung exam, it depends doon kung kailan nila tinake yung NCLEX US. Kasi some of the students who took yung RN, nagpa-assess sila and hingi sila ng reconsideration because they already passed the NCLEX US. So they could still submit the NCLEX US, pero hindi natin mag-guarantee na 100% i-recognize siya ni NNAS. Kasi si NNAS lang yung nakakaalam eh. Siya lang yung makakakita kung kailan ka nag-exam, kung ano ba yung in-exam mo. So sila pa rin yung responsible of assessment doon sa mga credentials mo.
Then I think it is safe to say that kung medyo current yung exam mo for NCLEX US, then NNAS may recognize it. But if it's, may recognize it. Pero kapag super medyo may katagalan na, so I think it's safe to say as well that you would have to take another NCLEX to be able to get a license. Okay. All right. So you mentioned a while ago that the student, when she landed here in Canada, She was not able to get her license right away because she was missing three requirements for her to get to get her license. So one is a police clearance, one is to have another academic IELTS test and pass it, and the other one is a work permit, right?
That's correct.
So how can a work permit be applicable for an international student? Like, let's just, it's safe to say, like, for example, the student already has the academic IELTS, the student already has the police clearance, but how about the work permit? How can the student get that?
Okay, for the work permit, they have two ways. First is the PGWP or the post-graduation work permit. Definitely, that is really a
Uh-oh.
recognized work permit. The second one is they could submit their student permit, which the student permit allows them to work 20 hours per week. But as a student, you are allowed to work 20 hours per week. So you could
Yes.
also submit that one as a proof that you are eligible to work in Canada. So there are
Oh, so NS recognizes even the 20 hours part-time that we're allowed to work every week. It doesn't
yes,
necessarily have to be a work permit itself. So it just
yes,
has to be the study permit with what do you call this? Not restrictions, but with the yeah,
evidence,
it's
the
actually
evidence.
restriction. Like you can only work
Mm.
20 hours. So
Exactly.
long as it's in there and that they can see that you can work, they will recognize that as a work, I mean allowed work for the student, and they would issue you your I know your okay, your license. So the student could have gotten the license right away and could have practiced being an RN, but only still following the restrictions of the study permit wherein you can only work 20 hours, but as an RN.
Yes, that's correct. So
Oh.
she needs still to get or because student she's still under the student permit status. That's
Mm-mm.
why
Tama.
she need to be
To
restricted
follow that.
until 20 hours to follow the 20 hours per week.
Oh, okay, got it. You mentioned a while ago that if I'm not, like, correct me if I'm wrong, it's CNO, right?
That's correct. For Ontario,
For
Colleges of Nurses
Ontario.
Ontario.
So what does it stand for again?
Colleges of Nurses Ontario.
Okay, so for Ontario, CNO recognizes the three programs of Niagara. So they are mental health, gerontology, and
Palliative
palliative,
care.
yeah, palliative care. So those three programs will be recognized by CNO in order for you to get an additional point para sa education assistant mo ng NNAS. So basically, it is not something that is necessary for the story of the student you shared a while ago. Kasi she don't need the the education score anymore. She was already assessed, right? So the
That's
only
correct.
reason that that would apply for those students who have not gotten their NNAS assessed, their NNAS yet. But for this particular student, the student doesn't need the education score anymore since she was already assessed by the NNAS, but she was only studying for the sake of having a status here in Canada.
Yes, that's correct. And also for the sake of the PGWP. Yun
Oo, para
lang.
for
That's
the
the
PR
reason why,
pathway, right?
yeah, that's the reason why the program she took at Niagara College is palliative care and
Mm-mm.
community mental health because she just want to get the 2 to 3 years post-graduation
Postgraduate
work
work
permit.
permit.
Yun na lang yung ano niya, yun na lang yung goal niya to stay longer and to get the status in Canada.
Oo nga, I totally agree. That's actually a good plan. So, and also just to remind everyone, for those three programs, kasi some of the schools, if they're gonna get any nursing programs or any programs related to nursing, it would require them to get an IELTS, and there is like a passing score for that. But for Niagara, you don't need IELTS, but you mentioned a while ago that you need another document in
Oh,
replacement for IELTS.
yes. So for Niagara, we are now waiving English for Filipinos for admission process. So it means that For NNAS, you don't have IELTS na ipapasa. Wala na kayong ipapasa dahil nga dahil hindi kayo kumuha sa Niagara College for your admission process. Now, what you could do is, first is if you want to take again IELTS in Canada academic, you may. Or the second one, you need to submit NNAS a proof that you have a safe practice for the past 2 years, and the medium of instruction or the medium of language is in English. So dalawa yung meron silang option. So that's what.
So it does not, like, NNAS is also not requiring the students to take the academic IELTS, right? So if they have for example, may other options sa. Pero so kunwari si student nagkaroon siya ng work experience sa Philippines for, you say, 2 years, right? And if the student or if that person who's gonna go through the NNAS, do you call it NNAS assessment or just NNAS?
NNAS.
NNAS. So if for example this person would go through NNAS to have the credential assessed, they don't have to submit IELTS. They can just get a certificate of safe practice by using by using English as medium of practice. And that's it. Oh,
yes,
okay.
That's it.
Okay, so NNAS accepts that pala.
Yes, yun yung perks kung depende nga sa student, depende nga sa kanila kung ano yung kuha nila, kung mag-IELTS ba sila or magbapasa sila ng safe practice na for the past 2 years.
Let's go back. You mentioned a while ago that this could only apply to certain students, not to everyone, right? Like this
That's
particular student of yours was like there is a year that's gonna be covered by this scenario. Could you explain a bit further about it?
Yes, so this student is considered as a fresh graduate during that time. So around 2018, so fresh graduate pa siya. As per here in the Philippines, for the nursing schools, they changed the curriculum around 2014. So it means that all all graduates by 2014, kasi 2010 they changed the curriculum for nursing to be at par for the Canadian for the not Canadian but the international
Global
standard. Yes, the global international standard. Ngayon, it's safe to say that if you graduate from 2014, you can try to start applying from the Philippines, going to Canada for NNAS. But I'm not really discouraging those individuals who are 2013 below graduates kasi they could still apply and to take the NNAS. Yun nga lang, syempre, the last decision maker for this one or for the assessment is NNAS.
Yeah.
Yun yung mangyayari.
Medyo mas mataas yung risk compared sa risk na tinitake ng mga 2014 graduates then pataas, right? Kasi earlier we were talking about the risk of it, like getting your credentials assessed by NNAS. You have to pay 40,000 and yet you don't have a status in Canada. So you have a license, but you cannot practice being a nurse. You still have to go through the process of getting a work permit, getting an employer, or going through the study permit application, which is also another risk because you're not certain that you're gonna get your approval as an international student, right? So yeah, I think you're right. Like it's a risk and a double risk and a triple risk for those people who are like graduates 2013 and below. So it's up to them. Like everything in life is a risk. If you're not gonna take it, then how would you know, right? But still, it's gonna cost you 40,000 for that risk.
Yes. Kasi the Canadian, I would say nasa 700 to 800 kasi yung NNAS. Canadian dollar. No, not Canadian, but I think it is US dollar.
Yeah.
Yeah, USD. So, if you're going to compute it, nasa around 40 nga din siya. So, it's really a risk for you kung take the exam here in the Philippines, start it, or mag-student permit ka muna, student visa ka muna, din sa Canada na lang. So, nasa kanila yun.
So, I think one of the advantages that yung sa scenario na sinabi mo kanina with regards to the student getting her license or getting her her license na-assess na siya ng NNAS, and then nakapasa na siya sa exam before becoming a student, is that once that student graduates and get her postgraduate work permit, she can automatically practice being an RN, right? She doesn't have to go
Yes.
through the process while on a study permit or while she's on a postgraduate work permit, because it's gonna take a while, especially kung nasa Canada ka na, nahirapan na siya, nasa Pilipinas pa siya. How much more pag nasa Canada na siya, di ba?
Oo, yun. Share ko lang, right now, she's working now as an RN sa Niagara region. So, yun na yung trabaho niya. And then share niya rin pala na hindi rin pala siya pwedeng maging RN sa mga hospitals during those times kasi 25 hours pala ang part-time ng isang RN. Eh, di ba ang sa international student, 20
20
lang.
hours lang, oo.
Oo, hindi siya pwede pala. Wala pala din palang tatanggap. Pero sabi niya, okay lang. Kasi ngayon, yun nga, pagka-graduate niya, RN siya.
RN
Yun yung
siya.
ano niya.
Mas mataas
RN
lalo
siya.
yung
Actually,
ano niya, yung
oo,
PR
actually,
ano niya.
yes. And actually, community mental health pa lang pala, RN na siya. Yun nga lang, hindi niya pinapractice kasi wala nga, ang hirap nga dahil 25 hours pala yung kailangan. So, 20 hours lang yung allowed sa kanya. Nung community mental health program niya, doon na siya. RN na niya. Nakuha na niya yung license niya noon.
So, what's your take on our kababayan who are registered nurses? Do you think they should still go with this is a personal question. I mean, do you think it would be more to their advantage to go through the bridging program or to take a postgraduate? Like, I know you already differentiated that two a while ago, but a lot of registered nurses are still going through the bridging program because that's what they know, that they have to go through the bridging program in order for them to practice their profession. But now that we have a better idea of what other options that we have, what would you advise for the registered nurses who would want to come to Canada and practice their profession?
Sa akin, personally, they would take a credential that could parang i-add doon sa kanilang bachelor's degree. So, pwedeng postgraduate, a postgraduate and master's would also good for them kasi mas tumataas yung assessment. Kasi if a bridging program, it's, di ba kapag nga sa assessment, kapag not comparable, tas bumagsak ka, magbe-bridging ka. So, magre-review ka nung pag-aaralan mo. Unlike kapag somewhat na makakadagdag sa credentials mo, yun yung mas maganda. Yun yung, kaya ako postgraduate o master's is good for them. Yun yung personal opinion ko for that one, unlike bridging programs.
So for those who doesn't have their NNAS yet and would want to come here as an international student, like they don't have to go through the bridging program anymore. They can go take the postgraduate, so long as, I mean, does it have a pros and cons that not doing the bridging but instead going for the postgraduate?
Siguro ulit yung risk kasi kapag postgrad kasi, you are studying on a field of nursing eh. Kasi di ba, ang gerontology kasi mental health and palliative is as a stream eh, a specialization in nursing. So kapag bridging, you are preparing yourself for the licensure exam lang talaga. It depends pa rin syempre sa curriculum ng school. So some schools offered bridging programs kasi in Canada. So yung curriculum, dapat iti-check nila kung meron pa siyang parang specialization. Yun yung ganun. Unlike kapag mental health, nagiging additional na talaga siya. Nagkakaroon sila ng additional knowledge on the field of nursing na pinag-aralan nila. Yun lang yung sigurong makikitang differentiate about bridging and postgraduate kasi bridging, they are preparing themselves for the licensure exam.
For the bridging programs, are they also like 2 years or just a year?
Depende sa school.
Depende sa
So
school.
Depende sa school. But Niagara doesn't have a bridging program. I always say that all our programs are not bridging program but additional credentials on top of their bachelor's degree. Talagang talagang a degree siya talaga.
Thank you so much, Divine, for your time. So for all the nurses out there who would want to go to Niagara College and get a postgraduate work permit. I mean, a postgraduate. I'm so sorry. So for all those other, okay. So for all the Pinay nurses, not the Pinay nurses, also all the Filipino nurses who would want to come here through the International Study Permit Program. Niagara has 3 programs that would be able to help you out with regards to your getting your license here in Canada. You can definitely reach out to Divine directly, or you can also reach out to me. I'm partners with them. So we can help you secure an LOA with Niagara College. So thank you so much, Divine, for your time.
Thank
And
you.
take care.